500 and missing out on a shot at victory. Time now for the Honda track preview. We ride on board the Gamebridge Honda with Colton Herter on the left. Take a look at the right.
Here comes Colton Herta up to turn 2 onto the longest straightaway on the IndyCar schedule. 7/10 of a mile, 185, touching 190 on push to pass. These guys will be fanning out 2 or 3 wide on starts and restarts, looking to make moves happen. There's also a good passing zone going into turn 1 before this straightaway.
And we've seen a lot of cars in the runoff in turn 1. It's a very bumpy brake zone. It's also where you have to merge out of the pits. A lot of close calls going to be seen there. As Townsend said, turn 2 super crucial to get that monster launch off down the long straightaway.
Also, was it worth noting, different start position to where the finish line is, kind of like Mid-Ohio.
That's right. You'll start and restart on the long back straightaway, and the finish line is in front of pit lane where the main grandstands and suites are. This section right here, 5, 6, and 7, really tricky. You come downhill to turn 5, and then a very narrow snaking chicane through 6, 7.
So there you have it. It's not the longest track. It's only just under 1.7 miles, but boy, it packs a punch. There's been other categories of racing this weekend. We've seen some good racing, but we've also seen some big incidents as well. So how is this revised, fresh, new Detroit Street Circuit going to treat the 27 cars in this round 7 of the NTT IndyCar Series? This is turn 3. You're going to hear us talk about this a lot because it's one of the key overtaking points, as the boys just said. And what kind of action will it give us today?
I like one of the McLarens there going a little bit wide intentionally in turn 3, trying to see what the grip level is for the outside line. Majority of the tires starting on those softer alternate tires. They've got the green sidewall. Only a handful starting on the primary with the black sidewall.
Yeah, first gambler on that alternate tire strategy, meaning primary tire for Will Power. He's the first one starting 7th. So that Team Penske driver at least going counter course to the rest of the field up front. Top 6 all on the softer Firestone green Waiuli compound.
Here is the Ridgeline Lubricants Honda of Alex Palou. Chip Ganassi Racing. Let's go inside the team. Let's have a listen to some pre-race chat.
All right, great job all weekend, boys. It's going to be a long day today, but never give up. Let's try and keep these on a roll.
Copy that, man. Let's have a great day.
Seem to remember similar sentiments a week ago at the Indy 500. Alex led a bunch of laps early before being taken out of contention with a pit road incident. In the shadows of the Rencent, here we are, downtown Detroit. IndyCar makes its return on a new track. Let's go. This is the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix that's waved off. Field 2 spread out.
They did this, race control did with the Indy Next race this morning. The front 8, maybe 5 rows looked pretty good, but there were so many late cars straggling that were still single file and spread out that the flag station decided to wave off, which means they'll re-rack, fire off another time.
Yeah, it's so tough to do. Pole sitter Alex Palou just wanting to get going, but there's still so many cars not paired up. Here you go, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4th row, not even caught up to the group. Let's try to watch the green car. There he goes, only 4 rows lined up.
8 cars out of 27.
And you know, Alex Palou's thinking, come on, man, that was close enough. Give me, I had a good jump going there, as McLaughlin probably going to think about maybe trying to get a better jump this time in that baby blue Gallagher Insurance Team Penske car.
And this is the key part for Alex Palou. He's got to really slow down, stack the field up here, give everyone a chance to catch up, so when they get through 2, we can have more cars side by side, maybe a little bit later to the acceleration pedal. Let's see if we can get it going second time around. That lap does count, though. We are now 1 lap into this race.
And it's going to be incumbent upon Palou and McLaughlin to kind of, you know, as hard as it is, just control that pace, especially Palou. And here comes, and the field's responsible too to catch up as they are. They're doing a better job of it this time. This looks a little more like it. Watch the flag stand to the top right. The Chevrolet flag stand, and we're underway with the Chevy Detroit Grand Prix.
Oh, look at that. Palou with another good jump. Look at Scott Dixon in the orange and blue to the outside, and Romain Grosjean's going to try to stuff it inside McLaughlin.
Will we get through here cleanly? We will not.
Callum Ilott on the back of Kyle Kirkwood.
Incident number one.
Big rear wing damage on Kyle Kirkwood, but you can see Ilott there in the tire. The yellow flag is not yet waving as we're seeing side-by-side action into 5. There's the caution flag. McLaren side-by-side through there.
What a shame for Wilco's Hollinger's Callum Ilott. What happened? What caused him to climb up?
Front wing damage here, guys.
Lee, there's a massive bump, driver's right, going into turn 3 that you cannot avoid on a start when you're on the outside. It wouldn't surprise me if Callum Ilott got heavy into that bump, locked up his front tires, and went skidding into the back of Kyle Kirkwood.
You got to remember, as you're practicing around this track, and it is the first time we've raced here, so not a lot of experience. We see Kyle Kirkwood now peel into that split pit lane for some hefty repairs to the number 27 AutoNation machine.
And this team, Kevin, have worked overtime after that car was heavily damaged yesterday.
Leave it running.
Kyle Kirkwood said, I think it's just the rear wing, so they'll change that entire assembly, and since it's under yellow, they should stay on the lead lap, but he is going to lose that mid-pack start position all the way into the back. They've not changed the Firestones at this point. You just heard Brian Herta talking to him, former IndyCar race winner strategist, telling him we got some time.
Back in Detroit, and already some diving for pit road, like Devlin DeFrancesco in the EvTech Honda for Andretti Autosport. Who else decides to come early? Colton Herta does. In the Gainbridge Honda, teammate to Devlin DeFrancesco. He goes the other side of pit lane, Doug Burns.
And remember, Lee, he did not make it out of the first round of qualifying because there was wall contact. They could not repair it to make it there. They started on the alternates. I said, how soon will we see you? To Scott Hunter, the strategist, he said soon. Kevin.
Devlin DeFrancesco, Graham Rahal, Kyle Kirkwood coming back in. He didn't change Firestones the last time. He goes to the primaries and also Shell Fuel and back out.
Yeah, he came in under a closed pit, but that was for emergency service, obviously, because his car was damaged. So he was able to cycle back around, come back in this time for a change of the Firestone Firehawk tires.
A little benefit here for Kirkwood. I know he's at the back. I know he just got hit, but he stayed on the lead lap. He went on the harder black tire, and now he has a little bit of clear track to get heat in the harder compound. That'll help him out a little bit on the restart. But not the way Kyle Kirkwood wanted to start, turning into a tow vehicle for Callum Ilott.
By the way, check this out, Hinch. This was after the Kyle Kirkwood incident. We're on board with Simon Pagenaud in the Meyer Shank machine. Check this out.
Out of 3 into turn 4, you see Joseph Newgarden, Felix Rosenquist in front, and he just locked both up. A little bit of a hip check to Felix. You hear him struggling to get on the power town, so now on board with Newgarden.
Sneaking up the inside, Marcus Ericsson. Whoa, he tagged Scott Dixon good, did Newgarden. The nature of street course racing in IndyCar.
Oh, so tight and so much bumping and shoving going on when you're all stacked up like that. Cold tires, and low pressures.
I got to tell you guys, that's a very narrow bit of racetrack, probably the tightest bit on the course, and I promise you, none of those cars have gone side by side through there this weekend, Dave. It's really tight out there.
Hinch, his team asked him, this is Newgarden, asked them to look at his car on the way by. They said it looks fine. He also asked his teammate Will Power to drop back and check it out. He says there's still something he sees that he doesn't quite like, but you can see he's staying on track at this point.
See anything obvious on his race car that looks out of place?
It's been an unbelievable week for Joseph Newgarden, highlighted by winning the Indianapolis 500, of course. But he has been on just about every television show and radio show physically possible. By nature, he's somewhat of an introvert. He doesn't always put himself out there, and he's had to talk to more media outlets than he's spoken to in his life in a single week. And now he gets to be back at where he feels most natural.
And now he's back in his happy place. He's back at home, riding on board here again with that Hitachi on board for Joseph Newgarden. But it is stressful. We talked about it at the top of the show. The May hangover is a real thing. And Joseph is definitely dealing with that, not getting to prepare the way he normally does for a race weekend.
But let's face it, Newgarden has come back from a concussion the very next weekend to race and race well. A broken collarbone a few weeks later, he's winning an IndyCar race. This guy is tough, he's resilient, and in the zone here, he's totally focused on the job at hand.
He'll be fine. We got you back from a flight board ride in Long Beach, so he'll be good. Here we go. Let's go racing in Detroit. green flag, and let's see if we can get some laps. Let's see if we can get into some rhythm. Romain Grosjean on the inside of Scott McLaughlin. Grosjean loves street circuits. The red and yellow DHL Honda. He grabs second from McLaughlin.
And it's teammates behind the Chip Ganassi Racing entry. Blue and orange, that's Scott Dixon. Red and white, that's Marcus Ericsson into turn 4. Scott Dixon gets the place.
Textbook move from Scott Dixon. That was absolute poetry in motion. Riding the outside of Ericsson and having the position for the next right-hander. Good stuff.
This section through here, folks, has been eventful. Through 6 and 7, this switchback area, there's a kind of a hump in the middle of it, a few bumps, and really challenges the drivers, and they come back down here to turn 8, a quick short shoot. There's pit entry, there's the split pit lane, and here they come to finish the lap. There you see the checkered flag on track, and away we go down again into turn 1. And then a climb hinge. TV doesn't do it justice up to turn 2.
It's quite uphill there for sure, Diff, and look at the jump that Alex Palou already has on the field. It was a great launch off of 2 for the restart, Townsend, but he is super comfortable even on cold tires around here.
The reason Alex Palou is so hard to beat is that this racetrack rewards precision and consistency. Palou is a shining example of those 2 attributes. I talked with Barry Wanzer, his strategist, just before the race, and he was smiling as the McLaren teammates, Rossi and O'Ward, mixing it up. But Barry Wanzer was so confident in his driver, he said, this is the perfect kind of challenge for Palou. That precision is going to pay off.
And a good way for him to bounce back from a disappointing Indy 500. But with that being said, he came from the back up to 4th place. So it's Palou, Grosjean, McLaughlin, Dixon, Ericsson, Power, Newgarden. Rosenquist is the best of the McLaren cars. Simon Pajot for Meyer Shank Racing in the top 10. And then Pato Award. Keep your eyes out for car 11. That's Marcus Armstrong. He's the blue and white American Legion car right there, just going through shot. The young Kiwi driver adapted to this new street circuit really well, James, and he's going to be fast.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you come here as a rookie, not having to fight that battle of other drivers having tons of experience at a track. You think St. Pete, you think Long Beach. His teammate Scott Dixon has dozens of races at those tracks. Here, it's new for everyone. So even though he's still learning the car, learning the team, learning the series, he had exactly the same number of laps around Detroit as everyone else, and that's allowed him to really close that gap as he is all over the back of that McLaren of Alexander Rossi.
And you know, James, what is interesting about that, I talked to Marcus about that this morning. He said, I knew it would be an advantage for me. What I was surprised about after the first practice session is how much confidence that gave me, that I'm on a level playing field with everyone else. He said, as you mentioned, my teammate Scott Dixon doesn't have any secrets I don't have here. And they said, well, mate, he probably does have a couple of secrets that I don't know about, but this place, we're pretty level.
Callum Ilott staged an amazing performance at the Indy 500 after he was on the tightrope of not making the field, qualified, and then finished 12th. Unfortunately, his day ended with not even 1 lap complete. Kevin?
And we all had concerns about that run into turn number 3. What did you see? What were the options?
I didn't have anywhere to really go, but it was my bad for kind of being a little bit on the late side. I was gaining a bit of time, and they just checked up a little bit more than I anticipated in the last bit, and I wasn't coming with that much more speed, but I just couldn't slow it down on the last part. So sorry to the team and sorry to Kyle, because that didn't help him either, but yeah, on to the next one.
Thanks, Callum.
Thank you.
Chalk that one up to one of those things, and race control has indicated that he may face a post-race penalty. We'll follow that story up in a moment. Riding aboard the NTT data machine of Felix Rosenquist, the highest placed of the Arrow McLaren squad. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Shell Renewable Race Fuel, powering progress at 225 miles per hour. And by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. Welcome back. What a sight. What a place we are racing today. I want to deliver you the GMR track facts here, of course, for a new track. Have a look at some important figures there. Just under 1.7 miles. The 9 turns give plenty of challenge to the drivers, and we're doing 100 laps here today. You want to know a fact that's not on there? 252 manhole covers that needed to be welded closed. so they didn't come up unnecessarily on this street course. Great job by everybody who put this facility together, everybody from the Penske group. And here we see some challenges. Joseph Newgarden going the wrong direction.
He is. I think you're starting to see the fall off of the softer green tire as the guys that gambled on black tires are really pushing forward. You see that with Will Power, and you see that further back here as Simon Pagenaud in that pink and black number 60 is struggling with these two Bitnile cars, Connor Daly and Rinus VK, pushing really hard.
Yeah, we saw Marcus Ericsson lose a couple spots as well. Will Power and Rosenquist both going back by him. So struggling on the alternates as Ericsson, as those, as you said, those primaries are really coming to life.
Hey, Marty Snyder, this is race 7 of the year. Alex Palou has now led at 5 of those 7.
Such a consistent year for him. After being on the pole today, he's led every lap. But Barry Wanzer, his strategist, wanted to let him know, even though you got a 6-second lead, here's what the rest of the field is saying about tires.
The gap behind is 4.6. There's also a lot of radio chatter about taking care of tires, so others are doing the same.
Copy.
So he is on those alternate tires you mentioned, Townsend, but you can see them starting to fall off. The strategy for the 10 was build a really big lead as much as they could because they knew they would fall off. But you mentioned Will Power. He has gained a couple of spots and consistently been top 3 on lap times, now sitting in 5th on the primary tires.
Yeah, I think Palou just needs to get to about lap 24 here before he's in the window to make it on just 2 stops. So Palou didn't sound at all anxious on the radio. He's very much in control. Look at the lead, almost 7 seconds over Grosjean. He is cruising.
Consistently one of the fastest cars on track. And one of the benefits he has compared to guys like Joseph Newgarden here is he's got that clean air, Townsend. That clean air gives a little more downforce on the car, the air pushing down. That helps the car slide less, which means the tires last a bit longer. As we see now, Christian Lundgaard, Marty, into pit lane.
Yeah, Christian Lundgaard coming down pit road in the 45 car for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. He's going to get off those alternate tires and put on the primaries. This is the transition point, Townsend, that you mentioned. Can the drivers hang on for about 10 more laps, or do they desperately need to pit and get on those primary tires?
Yeah, in the case of Lundgaard, he must have been feeling like things were falling apart for him pace-wise as he rejoins just behind the 51 of Stingray Robb, but still on the lead lap. Alex Palou just coming down the pit straight, so about 10 seconds behind Palou is for Lundgaard.
Hy-Vee Honda getting back up to speed. Palou 7.5 seconds out in front of Romain Grosjean, the Andretti Autosport driver, doing a great job and rebounding after a frustrating Indianapolis 500. Scott McLaughlin, who started on the front row third. Here is Marcus Ericsson. Kevin Lee, he's coming your way.
And he loves street racing. He said it brings out the best in him, makes it very difficult to have any margin for error. That's why 3 of his wins have come there. And he said it's kind of one of the reasons he loves ovals as well. Oh, and he won the Indy 500. He's back out.
Great stop from the Ganassi crew, 6.7. Let's watch the blend here. You see that blue light letting the driver in the pits know that someone's coming, and that someone is Graham Rahal. Marcus slots in just in front of him.
Graham Rahal down in 22nd position on the lead lap. Ericsson on those cold tires, trying to find temp. He also has low pressure, so the car is riding almost on the ground as you come to this really bumpy brake section.
Almost 3/4 of a mile. We ride on board the United Rentals machine with Graham Rahal. 180 plus miles per hour down into this hairpin.
That's pretty impressive for Ericsson to outbrake Rahal on cold tires.
As late as me, but he's on cold tires.
And
Graham's impressed too.
He's impressed down Bates Street.
I'm not sure impressed is the word.
Maybe frustrated?
Maybe a bit frustrated. No, but it's so challenging. As you know, Townsend, cold tires, full fuel, bumpy, low grip street circuit, no margin for error. These outlaps are so difficult and so critical, but a great job from Marcus Ericsson as we jump on that Verizon onboard with Will Power now into turn 3 on Dixon.
Hold on. And Scott Dixon saw that happening in his mirror and gave Power some room to avoid a collision.
That was abuse of respect, I think. Scott Dixon saw in his mirror and thought, oh no, Power's coming 10-10s, fully committed. I either turn in and we wreck, or I give him the position, but Dixon will be frustrated with that.
So Will Power now grabs 4th place away from Scott Dixon, and he is the first and highest placed car on the primary tires. Colton Herter on the left of the screen, Santino Ferrucci in the 14. They touch several times. This is at the turn 3 hairpin.
Game of chicken.
A little bit of wheel hop. Those bumps, as Townsend mentioned earlier. And Ferrucci unrelenting there. Didn't give the position up. Making life difficult for the Gainbridge Honda driver. Meanwhile, up front, Alex Palou in command to the tune of 8 seconds. "20 laps down, 80 to go in this Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix, and things are getting racy. Yes, the drivers are experimenting. They're finding some lines, some options, and they're executing. There's been some forceful driving going down, that's for sure. On board, the United Rentals machine with Graham Rahal, who is already pitted. So too is the car up ahead, Marcus Ericsson. They're a little deeper in the field in 18th and 19th at the moment. Alex Palou still leads and continues to grow his advantage. 9.3 seconds. This is Will Power on Romain Grosjean. The black and red Verizon Chevy. That's now for second place.
You saw the brake dust coming out of the front wheels on that number 12 Verizon car. He is absolutely working those brakes into turn 3 to make these passes happen. But this is exciting, guys, as those alternates start to fall off. The drivers that started on the primaries really having everything come their way.
And for Will Power, he's going to stretch this stint. If Alex Palou's trying to get just 2 more laps maybe out of his stint, Power, Marty, I think is going to try to go long, maybe try to get to lap 40 on these tires.
He's going to go as far as he possibly can go. So I asked Ron Rzucki, the strategist for Will Power, why they were the first car that went with primaries in the field. He started 7th, and he said, listen, if we want to win back-to-back championships, we got to start making up some ground. They are 9th in the championship standings coming into the race today. He said we have to start posting some wins. We have to do some things different than everybody else in the field, and this is what they've done. Power storming up from 7th to 2nd, and yes, Townsend going to try and stretch this run as long as he can.
Well, let's continue that conversation. Let's have a look at the predicted pit stop windows powered by NTT, especially given where the front runners are.
Yeah, Palou, that 20 to 26 window. Power, though, I think is going to go long. We just talked about that. He'll go way longer than 26 laps because he's on that harder tire.
We heard some mixed information from teams on what the fuel windows actually were. How many laps could you get out of a stint if the tires last? We hadn't run a real race stint yet, right. So there was some mixed answers from pit lane when we talked to drivers and teams after warm-up. So a lot of these teams are kind of learning on the fly as we go.
And I think the alternate tires are going pleasantly for those on them. They're going longer, perhaps, than they had expected. What happened here? Check this out.
Well, this is on board with Kyle Kirkwood, who just stuffed Simon Pagenaud into turn 9, the final corner. Really surprised Pagenaud with this move. Forceful, but Kirkwood is on an absolute charge. Along with his teammate Colton Herta, Kirkwood's come from the back after that caution. And Herta's up 11 positions. Kirkwood all the way up to 14th right now.
And look who we find together. The 3 Arrow McLaren men, led by Felix Rosenquist in 6th, Pato Award 7th, Alexander Rossi 8th. They're all trying to make an impression. They've got to get by Stingray Robb first. Let's talk more about the 26 of Colton Herta, who's made up some good ground too, Dave Burns.
And Lee, after starting in the back, came in for that early pit stop to put on the primary tire. Scott Harner told me that this car is much better than it obviously showed in qualifying. And after about 14 laps on the primaries, Harner was then radioing the driver, you are now running as fast as the leader. Kevin.
Scott Dixon comes in. He's going to get off the alternates. They just asked him, how are the tires? He said, not great, but they're hanging on okay. One theory is after a big drop off after about lap 12, they stabilize a little bit to primary Firestones.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm watching the lap times of Palou and Power, and this is the point where Power has the advantage. He's about 1.2 seconds faster now on that harder black tire as Palou tries to stretch this stint and hang on to the greens.
The one thing about the moving that Power's doing up through the field, 91 seconds of his 150 for the push to pass has been used. Palou's got 142 left. And remember, at some point, Power still has to put on those alternates and suffer through that stint without being able to use a ton of push to pass to defend.
And that's why Power's going to go as far as he can on this stint to shorten maybe the middle stint on the alternate tires, or he'll try to go long again on blacks and shorten the final stint. I think he'll go alternates for the middle stint so he can pit on the earlier side for the end of the race. That protects him against an untimely caution.
Will Power had a really good Indy 500 run going despite having some mechanical challenges with his car, and he tagged the wall late in the race. He said, I didn't even know I hit the wall until I was going down the back straight and the steering was off and I had to come into the pits. He said it was such a shame. He said other than the challenges I had early in the race, it may have been the best car I've ever had at the Indy 500. And remember, he's an Indy 500 winner.
No driver in this field, more street course wins than Will Power. Next closest driver, Scott Dixon. Power has 18 street course wins in his career. Dixon, 12.
Almost half of his career wins have come on street circuits.
For good reason. He's got freakish abilities, crazy fast reflexes. He's a drum player, an impressive drum player on his spare time. And that eye-hand-foot coordination all comes together around here.
And he got to new driver introductions. The drive around with Flavor Flav.
Guy knows a thing or two about percussion.
And he's just absolutely chewing into that gap, down to 5.7 seconds now. Visibly see it getting shorter, and so can Will Power.
Last lap, PALOU a 104.2, Power 103.0. So he's taken that 1 second plus per lap, as the gap now down to just 5.6 seconds. PALOU to Power. 2
cautions in the race thus far. There were everybody had their own and varied opinions on would we see a stoppage, would there be a huge amount of cautions. It's the nature of street course racing in IndyCar, but especially at a new circuit and some of the characteristics of this. But one of those 2 cautions that we've had so far today was for the initial start being waved off. So only 1 caution thus far for an on-track incident. For the most part, the boys have been playing nicely.
Right on board with Scott McLaughlin here. Look at that telemetry courtesy of Firestone. You see him trying to keep in touch here with the 28. Remember, these two, a little bit of history. St. Pete ending up in the wall, battling for the lead. Late pass for the lead at Barber. McLaughlin over Grosjean. So we've seen these two together a lot on track this year.
Pit this lap, Marty, is the call.
That's for Marcus Armstrong, who's going to come down pit road here in just a second. And it's interesting, they almost decided to come down at lap 12. There you see him leaving pit road right now, going to the primary tires. He told the team, I'm going to be the best tire manager I can be today. They decided to leave him out. He made it to lap 27, but I think Alex Palou thinking about coming here in the next couple of laps.
Romain Grosjean needs to think about coming.
Yes, McLaughlin's all over him. The Gallagher Chevy hassling the DHL Honda. Down at water before you hit turn 8, and Grosjean's blowing it.
Disaster for Grosjean. He's going to have to figure out how to turn around. He's lost about 3 or 4 spots, and he's coming to the pits.
What? It was such a great run day for Grosjean.
You can hear the car sounding very differently coming down pit road. You're not sure what that hiss was, but he gets the 4 primaries on the car. Had been stuck behind some lap traffic. That cost him time as well, but that will really cost him time.
All is not lost, but he'll lose several positions. That was lucky. He was able to flip the car around so quickly and get to pit lane.
And it was a quick stop from the Andretti crew, the number 28 guys. As you see him on the gas there, trying to get up to speed. Let's take a look now, Townsend, at this. On the brakes, into just locks up both.
Yeah, the tires are just fried for Grosjean.
How fast, how efficiently he executed that flick spin to get back out, to your point.
I'm a little surprised they didn't need to leave Grosjean out that far. I think they're going off Palou staying out.
But guys, Palou down to 1.5, Townsend. Sorry, as we see him in the pit lane, Marty.
Yeah, you can bet when Barry Wanzer saw Grosjean spin, he was like, all right, that's enough for us. Brings Alex Palou to pit road the next lap. They made it last 29 laps. He led 28 of those, Dave, onto the primaries now.
Scott McLaughlin also onto the primaries. A little bit of a wait there, but now Scott is gone. Remember, he loves the street courses. Doing well here today after starting second.
I think it might turn out to be a little bit of a mistake to have left Palou and Grosjean obviously out that far, because Power has really closed that gap. I think they probably could have pitted to Palou a little bit earlier. We'll have to see.
McLaughlin comes out in front of fellow New Zealander Scott Dixon. Here we go. Back straight, almost 3/4 of a mile. What will Dixon do? Watch that orange and blue and white PNC Bank Honda.
McLaughlin on those cold tires. How deep does Dixon go on the brakes? Way deep.
That shows you what hot tires can do.
Oh, wait a second.
Now it's the drag race down to turn 4. Scott has the inside line there, Dixon. But still, good effort from McLaughlin to fight back there, not make it easy for him.
Dixon was behind McLaughlin at the opening portion of the race, so good work there, but they're on a slightly different strategy. Upper hand for Dixon at the moment. Power leads. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by GetRefunds.com. See if your business qualifies for an ERC refund today. Hy-Vee, this racing season, you can help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. And by Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power equipment. What a sight that is. The Detroit River, downtown Detroit, the Rensen. What's happening, Marty?
Felix Rosenquist leaving pit road, going to alternate tires after being on the primaries to start the race. You can see all these teams, including Joseph Newgarden, Dave, getting off of those primary tires.
Tim Cindric told me this morning the idea was to make the green or the alternate tires last. Joseph Newgarden among the longest to stay out there. Remember, qualified 5th, so he's got a great race car, but complained a couple laps ago. Got to come in, and they brought him.
Oh, look at that, Marcus Armstrong ahead of Joseph Newgarden. This is tied here between these two guys.
It surprises me Newgarden held out that long. He'd fallen several positions as the greens wore out, but never second-guess Tim Cindric as Will Power comes to his box.
Here's the interesting thing, Townsend. Will Power comes in, getting off of those primaries. Going to go with the alternate tires here. You lose about 18 to 20 seconds on pit road. Bit of a slower stop. Guess who's about 20 seconds behind him? Alex Palou. This will be a tight race off pit road, Diff.
Watch this, watch this. Watch the blend here. Here's Palou. Here's Power. It's going to be tight, but Power to Palou.
That was absolutely crucial for Alex Palou to get in front, because for these first few laps, Townsend, Will Power is going to have that tire advantage with those softer alternates.
Yeah, this is where Power has to make moves. He's got to get aggressive.
Stay with him, take care of your tires. Stay with him, he's the leader, take care of your tires.
Check this out, too. You've got massive marbles growing right around here. It's going to get crazy with the Oreo crumble building up as Colton Herta's the first to go off and pick up all that rubber. Let's see what happens in the brake zone. No problem, but he didn't get too wide. Imagine if somebody's running all the way through that. Going to be very difficult on the brakes in turn 3.
Colton Herta in this Gainbridge Honda is up to 9th position. Totally different strategy to the majority of the field, other than that to his teammate Kyle Kirkwood. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Marty, the Arrow McLaren boys are in.
This should be interesting. Rossi is in the back. Pato Ward is in the front, coming in first and second on the track. Quick stop by both of them. Now the drag race off pit road. Rossi will actually pass Pato here on pit road, going to the alternate
Pato
tires.
stalled. Pato is not under power.
It's broken.
Oh no.
He didn't stall. I think he broke a half shaft maybe, or something in the drive line.
He crashed out.
Drive shaft's broken.
Drive shaft.
Crashed out of the Indianapolis 500 late last week. And now, while running strong in the top 10, it seems like it's over for Pato O'Ward.
And I could see the race officials not allowing the pit crew to run. Oh, there they go. With the quick jack, they'll roll them back, but that, if it is in fact a broken half shaft, that'll be the end of the day.
This is one of the championship favorites coming into this 2023 season. One of the most excitable young drivers in IndyCar. Last week, he was one of the main contenders for the 500, and something out of his control may have just ended his Chevy Detroit Grand Prix.
He was 3rd in points coming into this weekend. Really hoping for a strong result. You see his teammate there, Alexander Rossi, at the bottom of your screen, in the orange and blue car, being chased by the blue Gallagher Chevy.
Great stop for Rossi, and great performance to come out ahead of McLaughlin.
Rossi was a little unlucky in qualifying. Should have been higher than where he actually was. Alexander started down in 13th place. He was unlucky not to make it to the fast 12. Here's the Mission Foods on board. Hard on the brakes into turn 3. Look at those bumps.
Yeah, it's a wild ride inside the cockpit of an Indy car.
Yeah, and for Rossi now, he's running those alternate tires after starting. What did he start on here? He was on the black tire, so he's got to protect these. Don't get carried away and spin them up. and overcook the throttle application or the corner entry on the softer greens. As Pato O'Ward, maybe no broken drive shaft. Maybe it just went into anti-stall, James.
It went into anti-stall, but then you could see it was still running. He tried to get going, and then it stalled.
What happened, man?
A bizarre situation there in pit lane.
Hey, Hinch, they didn't get the
tire
tire
wasn't
on tight.
so we had an open diff. We
They
should
had
be
an
all
open
good here.
diff. Will Anderson just told me the same thing he told me.
From lap 4, he goes onto lap 37, so a little more than 32 or so under green flag conditions for Kirkwood back out.
And his teammate Colton Herter will be coming soon too as he rejoins just ahead of Connor Daly. Let's show you Pato O'Ward's pit stop. Have a listen.
Yeah, you see the wheel there not on. You saw a very slow stop from Joseph Newgarden. Let's take a look here. Bueller struggling to get it in. Look, he's trying to manually open the butterfly and start that fuel flow. Oh, that's devastation. That was a much longer stop.
12.8 seconds for Joseph Newgarden. Watch to the right-hand side there. Watch the rear left wheel.
I think he goes to pick up the wheel nut that fell out of the gun. I think the gun went on. He didn't realize the nut wasn't on. And then there was no drive for Pato O'Ward. Unfortunately, he's now a lap down to the leaders. All not lost, but Pato O'Ward just needs to drive quick laps, hope for a yellow, and get things stacked back up.
Hey, we're not even halfway yet, not even close. So this day is not done yet. Well, seemingly it was, but it's not now. He gets a second chance, Pato O'Ward, in the Arrow Chevy for McLaren.
And that's what's so cool about these IndyCar races, guys. Just think back to the Indy 500. Alex Palou in the running for the lead, back and forth with Rinus VeeKay. They come together on pit lane, goes all the way to the back at half distance, races his way back up to 4th place. So you know that the number 5 team is coaching Pato O'Ward on what to do as we now look at some Firestone telemetry here. Let's see what kind of pace Pato has on these alternates.
What's that top speed too?
Legitimately, the biggest mover in this field is Alexander Rossi. Now, while Herter and Rahal may have made up more just on cycle, here he is with Dave. Rossi has made up 8. Dave Burns.
Colton Herta makes the turn onto pit road, takes the left-hand side down. Another load of primaries there. They asked him if he wanted any changes. The answer, nope, and he's gone.
Colton had a couple of things happen to him this weekend that did not reflect how strong this Cambridge Honda. Racing on the streets of Detroit, Lee Diffie, James Hinchcliffe, Townsend Bell, Kevin Lee, Marty Snyder, Dave Burns. We're enjoying an afternoon here in the Motor City as the orange and black Arrow Chevy. Pato O'Ward is clawing his way back from a wheel issue on his first pit stop, and right behind him he has Alex Palou, the race leader, that bright green car. That is Palou.
I think he just passed Alex Palou there, Diff, so using those fresh alternates to get himself back on the tail end of the lead lap, that's very important for Pato O'Ward at this point, because if a yellow does come out, he now doesn't have to get the wave around. He just cycles around the back. Dive in the wall.
And crash.
In the wall, turn 9, Pato O'Ward.
We thought it was over in the pits, but it's now over on the racetrack. O'Ward desperate to clear Ferrucci, and it's ended in the concrete barrier.
We saw Kyle Kirkwood try that move on Pagano earlier, and it worked, but for O'Ward, it went horribly wrong.
Oh, he'll be frustrated. He was trying to make up for lost ground. Let's see what went down for Pato O'Ward.
He wasn't going to make the corner whether Ferrucci was there or not. You saw Santino actually get out of the way a little bit. Seeing Pato coming, he just carried too much speed in, it looks like.
Yeah, it's just desperate. Nice bit of driving from Ferrucci.
Yeah, very heads up.
Unfortunately, Ferrucci goes a lap down. Unless the yellow was out, I don't think it would have been no. So Ferrucci goes a lap down, unfortunately.
You see Pato missed the apex there by half a car width. He was just in too deep. And like you say, very heads up from Santino to see him coming, give him the room, and not get collected in that as well. Yeah, too much too soon there.
Boys, that was a hard hit. Pato O'Ward already in the back of the AMR safety vehicle.
So when a yellow comes out, I immediately think, who does this advantage? And I think it's Will Power.
Yes.
Because he was on the alternate stint. So this shortens his alternate stint on those softer tires. Everybody's going to probably pit and finish on primaries with about 135 laps to go, so that would be around lap 65.
Laps, we have
Think about this. We are 6 races in.
probably about 20.
This is the 7th race of the season. We have yet to see a pole position from this guy, yet to see a race win from this guy. That, in the scope of his IndyCar career, is strange. That's unusual. There's Pato O'Ward with the AMR safety folks. I thought he'd got into the truck before. My apologies. Now he's with them in the safety car. Oh, we've just been told he got into that vehicle, got out, and now he's going into that one.
More legroom.
So he's all right. He walked his own way there. So, but there'll be just frustration because he was a top 3 in the championship. But that is the case no more. So while the AMR safety crew do their normal excellent job at clearing up this situation, let's check in with.
That's cool,
folks. If you weren't with us yesterday, Kevin and Flavor Flav had a wonderful exchange where he said he's with his brand new friend Kevin Lee, who's gone from the bottom to the TOP.
Oh, we digress.
Here at the Grand Prix. So, third full course caution for the day. I don't think it's been as crazy as many people had predicted or thought.
Give it time.
But we are not even halfway. 45 down, 55 to go. Stop it, you pessimist.
Hey, yellows breed yellows.
I know. We said that at the top of the show, didn't we? While we see Marcus Armstrong's car, the 11 there, it's the American Legion machine. I want to tell you that American Legion is dedicated to helping veterans through their toughest times by creating an outlet for vets to be the one to ask, listen, and reach out for help. You can learn more at www.betheone.org. And we want to thank American Legion for their involvement with not only Chip Ganassi Racing, but the NTT IndyCar Series as well. Be the one. So while we're under caution, getting Pato O'Ward's car out of the way. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Hy-Vee. This racing season, you can help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. And by United Rentals, official equipment rental services provider of IndyCar and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Here we are right on the shores of Detroit River. There's the River Walk. That's Atwater Street down to turn 8. There's the pit complex, as Kevin told you at the top of the show. There you see all of the suites, the chalets on the right. They came from the Waste Management Open at TPC Scottsdale. So, so much work. Bud Denker and the whole crew from Penske putting this together have been working so hard, turning concept into a reality, bringing IndyCar back to the downtown streets of the Motor City. It has been very cool already this weekend, but have a look at those miles.
Everywhere. They did not get a chance to sweep the track as the green flag's out.
Here we go, back to racing. Alex Palou at the front. Will Power, the red and black car in pursuit. Ferrucci, he's not on the lead lap. He tucks into third ahead of Dixon. Dixon pops out, clears him. So too does Felix Rosenquist in the 6. Here comes Alexander Rossi around the outside. McLaughlin in the bright blue machine. And Ferrucci's a sitting duck. He's trying to stay out of the way and not hamper any of these front runners' races.
Yeah, he's really in the way now. He thought he might have a shot to get on the lead lap, but they're going to shove him and push him and move him over as the faster cars come through. Lundgaard side by side with Canapino. Oh! Someone's in the wall, or someone got sideways in the brake zone up ahead. That got crazy.
Somebody went there. There's a caution out. They go for pit lane. Who is it? It's one of the front runners in trouble, Christian Lundgaard, but he's not the only one. He went off. There's somebody in pit lane. Ah, it's Ferrucci.
But he's past his pit box, guys. He's the first pit box, so he's driven straight through. I wonder, did he get forced in there somehow?
I don't know. Something happened ahead of that.
Did he just take evasive action?
Let's just hope no guys jumped us that are maybe not going to take that. I think guys.
Oh, there it is. Stingray Rob.
That's down in turn 3. Down at the hairpin.
Yeah, that's not where it was. Turn 8 where things got crazy and everybody checked up.
We saw Lundgaard go long.
Yeah, right, but before that, somebody either their back stepped out. It's hard to tell, but some drama at both ends of the racetrack.
Let's show you what happened to Christian Lundgaard coming down here into turn 8. Watch this. He's going to run long. had to swerve to the right to avoid the tire bundle.
All I saw was Newgarden popping out there at the last second. It looked like he was losing it, but it was just a really deliberate move as Newgarden runs long, has to fire a 180.
Simon Pagenaud on the inside of Devlin DeFrancesco. Dev moving a little bit there.
And Simon was not happy. You can see the hand right there.
I didn't see anything wrong from Devlin. Left him just enough room.
I think in the brake zone he started coming over a little bit maybe. Agustin Canapino looking on the inside of Christian Lundgaard. Maybe that's what got him distracted, made him go a bit long in the corner.
Hey, Hinch, for what it's worth, Lundgaard, once it called in, said that he was forced off by Canapino. I don't know about that, but they're sending him in.
I do know that that is not the case.
All right, we're under caution again, fourth time today while we are under yellow. Let's hear from Pato O'Ward with Kevin Lee.
Unfortunately out early. First there was the issue on pit lane. That got you a lap down, and then what happened that put you out for good?
Yeah, well, I got onto the marbles. I had to get by Santino because if Palau would get us, we were going to go a lap down. My push-to-pass was disabled as expected because we were a lap down. And, yeah, I was pretty boxed in what I could do. And it was either race over or try and get past, but ended up being race over. So it is what it is. And honestly, our race went upside down on that pit stop. And yeah, all downhill from there. So it is what it is. We'll move on to Road America.
Thanks, Pato.
You can hear the dejection in his voice.
Whoa.
Meanwhile, this has happened under caution. Graham Rahal and Benjamin Peterson under yellow. The rookie and the veteran. Oh boy. Grand Prix here in the Motor City as we welcome you back under caution for the fourth time. It has been a pretty crazy day so far, and we're only just into the second half. Alex Palou has led 46 of the 52 laps thus far on a day that's still promising so much to unfold when we get back into racing rhythm.
And these longer yellows on a dirty racetrack, James, can really pick up marbles. Let's go down to pit lane, though, and check in with Marty.
And another fact about those long yellows, Townsend, this could really play into the favor of Will Power. Remember the first run of the day when Alex Palou was on the alternate tires and they fell off so much and he lost all that time to Power? Well, all that was under green flag conditions. Power is churning out laps here under caution, certainly helps him with those alternates, and they could pit for the final time, Dave, here in about 15 laps, make it all the way home.
And Marty, with all these different strategies, there are times when drivers have to save fuel to make it to the next window, to make the strategy that the engineers have in mind work. Well, Scott McLaughlin just got music to his ears over the radio.
Okay, little play here. This means we probably can go flat out rest of the way. Same for everyone, I guess. Yeah, but the big thing is you got three reds in front of you that got about 12 laps on them already.
That'll be the end of the next stint, and that will take them to one stop to get them to the end. Kevin?
Dave, Marcus Ericsson, as we look into turn 8, where we've already had some action today, is in 16th, but he just pitted a little while ago, so he's going to need to stop one more time unless this trend continues. It would take a lot of caution, but Marcus Ericsson has won some very unpredictable races, including that street race in Nashville, a debut race a couple of years ago, so don't count him out just yet.
Kevin, you call out Marcus Ericsson. I want to highlight a couple of other guys having a good run that have also been assisted by this most recent caution. Grosjean had that hiccup, but this caution has saved him somewhat. He's in 7th. Alexander Rossi's having a good run in 5th, and his teammate Felix Rosenqvist in 4th. A little further back, Rinus VK in 8th, and Augustine Canapino in 11th, who's on exactly the same strategy as Alex Palou, the race leader. The Honko's Hollinger rookie is doing well.
And when the final pit window opens around lap 65, because we're starting with a concentrated field here of a restart, that means things cannot get very strung out. So if they pit under green around lap 65 for the final time, there's going to be incredible blend battles as everybody comes back together after their stops.
Boys, you want to talk about getting crazy? I want to rewind the clock 24 hours to the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge sports car race yesterday. A crash.
You've seen two sports cars climb each other in a 35-mile-an-hour corner like that.
It was definitely a bit of a surprising situation down there. We might see a surprising situation of our own still. How about this, Townsend? They're coming to the green now on that back straight. They're going to pass pit in. Does anybody come into the pits right now?
Yes.
Top off.
Yes.
And hope for enough yellow to make it to the end?
Last 5 cars, if you're somebody like Harvey or Lundgaard or Castro and Evans, absolutely gamble that the yellow's going to come out again and you can stretch it on fuel. You couldn't do it under green, but with enough caution you could get there. I think it's worth the risk.
These guys need to hustle because the front of the field has gone and are going. They're coming to green.
And Diff, the tires are going to be dirty and squirrely.
All right, let's get to it. There's Alex Palou in the Ridgeline Lubricants, the bright green car number 10, and Will Power. These two have been the strongest all day long. Let's go.
Power with an excellent run, an excellent throttle application out of that slow corner. He's got a huge run coming to 3.
He almost doesn't want to pop out too early and get all the way past the 10 in case he slots back in. He highs and lows it.
He's got it. Will Power for the lead on Alex Palou.
A classic shake and bake from the number 12 as Palou falls back to second and Power is clearing off in the distance on those softer tires.
Now the teammates are left at it. The Ganassi teammates and the McLaren teammates. Second and third, third and fourth.
Yeah, these yellows have really played into the hands of Will Power on those softer alternates. They're going to be better on the restart for those first few corners, maybe first few laps, as now Palou under threat from Scott Dixon right behind him.
What a textbook fake and bake or shake and bake from Will Power. I mean, he showed high, he dove down low at the last second, surprised Palou, and now he's checking out.
So let's see what happens here. Alex Palou, Scott Dixon, second and third. The Arrow McLaren guys, fourth and fifth, with Felix Rosenquist, who's been the lead of the McLaren squad all day long in that, and Semi Chevy on board with thanks to NTT. Let's go for a ride. How does that sound, Hinch?
It sounds fast, guys. It sounds fast. It sounds bumpy, though, on the brakes there. You hear the kind of undulations in the RPMs as the rear starts to lock up over the bumps. Grosjean now under pressure from Rinus VeeKay in that gold and white BitNile.com Chevy.
VeeKay's had a good day.
He's had a great day. Up 6 spots from where he started. He's on those softer alternates. That's helping his cause right now.
7 or 8 laps from the final pit stop required to make it at the end. This is the phase as a driver and an engineer where you got to communicate. What do you want for your last stop? Any wing adjustments, any tire pressure adjustments? What do we need to do to give you the chance to go out and win this thing, as Will Power has opened up 3 seconds almost over Palou.
Very quickly in that Verizon Chevy. Teammates going well. Then we get back to McLaughlin in 6th, Grosjean, VeeKay Armstrong, and Joseph Newgarden in the top 10. Do you know, Hinch mentioned at the top of the show, 23 years since Juan Pablo Montoya won the Indy 500, then the very next race. For everybody else since then, the best result has been 6th. If Newgarden could crack a top 5, that would change that trend, but it just shows how tough it is to follow on from the Indy 500.
Well, Newgarden really hasn't done anything wrong. He's driven like someone capable of winning the next race after the Indy 500, but it just hasn't worked out on timing. And right now, he's under attack from Agustin Canapino, which is impressive. The Argentinian rookie given team
a penalty for blocking.
Who?
Canapino. Have a look at this.
So on board with Colton Herta now. This is out of turn 2, down the back straight.
Colton Herta didn't enjoy it.
Well, damage to the front wing there on the number 26 Cambridge Honda.
I'd like to see that one more time, maybe in a 2-box, because I
want to see it from the outside.
That's the natural line all weekend, is drivers left because of the bumps in the track, and it didn't look in reaction to.
How about the sprint car style from Kirkwood, lighting it up off turn 2. Here's another view of the Herta Canapino incident.
Same view. I'm kind of looking at the reference to the dotted white line. He does come over a little bit.
But it's the natural line, and he's drafting all the cars in front of him that are on that line. So that's a tough one.
How badly damaged is the Cambridge Honda's front wing? for Colton Herta. You see it there, but how much impact will that have on this street circuit?
Look, not a lot of fast corners here on this Detroit street track. Most of the corners are first gear, 1 second gear corners, so this is the track that you probably need that aero efficiency the least. That said, it's not going to be making...
Doesn't look terrible. Colton's got to stay out here.
Yes.
And try to salvage points, especially running in 11th. If he was down in 20th, yeah, I could argue go now, get wing and tires, and maybe you could stretch it to the end. About 3 or 4 more laps, Dave, until everybody pits. What do you know about Canapino?
Well, it's tough for Canapino. Remember, he had a crash in the first practice, which he was so disgusted with. He's done everything right since, except for that. As for the 26 of Colton Herta, he said, I can feel that the right front is broken and hanging, but it is drivable. That's a 26, Marty.
Dave, he just lost the lead, but is there a bigger concern in the Alex Palou camp? This was the radio right before the restart. Listen in.
I don't have the gearbox.
Emergency mode, emergency mode. Turn it off.
So he had to shut it off. Hinch coming to the green was able to fire it back up, and then everything worked. And now the gearbox issue has resolved itself. Would that be a big concern for you moving forward if you were Alex Palou?
Yeah, definitely that's going to be a concern. An electronic issue in the cars, you can just sort of reset it. It's the alt-control delete, essentially, of a race car.
Yes, if you go to emergency mode, but what you lose is auto blip, and you lose the ability to shift without lifting. You have to manually lift. It's like driving a shifter cart or riding a motorcycle without the clutch. You have to blip the throttle or release it. It's not going to happen electronically.
And same on downshifts, you'd have to manually blip it, but I think the reset solved the problem. They could get it out of emergency mode. So Marty, maybe get with Barry Wanzer, see if he's able to drive without emergency mode, because if he is, that is going to be a huge help.
You're going to lose time.
But yeah, if you have to run it in emergency mode, that is going to be a massive time loss on the straightaways.
I asked him, was it fixed? Barry Wanzer, and he says, for now.
Yeah. Behind Alex Palou is his teammate Scott Dixon. Scott has used more than his 100 seconds of his 150 seconds of push to pass while he sits third. Building his championship campaign. He's in search, remember, of championship number 7 to tie the legend AJ Foyt. And as they run right now, Dixon moves to 4th in the championship points. We've still got 38 laps to run.
But speaking of championship points, look at that. Marcus Ericsson not having a great day. Joseph Newgarden not having a great day. Palou's lead, if they finish as they run now, would be 50 points. That's a 30-point gain. He came in 20 points gained, 1 point for the pole position, but that's a massive swing and a huge gap for this point in the championship.
That's a race-winning gap minus the bonus points.
This is a different, apparently from race control, different situation with Canapino and Herta.
I can see that one. I mean, if you're Agustin Canapino, you got that squirrely moment through 7. You knew Colton Herta was going to be looking. As soon as you're off the corner, just dive to the left and cover that off. I can see why they want to do that.
Who do you like the look of here? As we're in the second half of the Chevy Detroit Grand Prix. At the moment, it's Will Power. You want a street fight? We've got it for the lead. Alex Palou forces Will Power into a mistake. He locks it up at turn 3 at the hairpin, and the Spaniard is back out in front.
Will Power had an advantage for a few laps, but he lost that as those alternate tires, the softer compound, started to really come apart on grip. And now Power's fallen into the clutches of Scott Dixon as Palou fires off into the distance.
Well, he goes wide where it's really dirty. Lots of marbles as we've seen. So his tires are struggling. His boy Flava Flav watching on, wanting him to come in the pits. But no, Dixon dives into pit lane.
That's a surprise.
Dixon says, you guys can go at it. I'm going to service for the final time, Kevin Lee. This might be the winning move.
And he's going to go to primary Firestones for the last one. This is a little bit early, but it seems like a solid gamble. Likely to be another caution. They would be in, could potentially cycle to the front. Dixon trying to get win number 54, pulls away.
I like that move from Dixon and his team. They're in fuel range. They can make it work. We'll try to stay ahead of Connor Daly here in the Bit Nile car. Daly still has to make his last stop.
What this does, as you talk about, it just puts those guys up front in the danger zone. It's so exposed now to a yellow. Alex Palou, Will Power, Felix Rosenquist, Alex Rossi, all these drivers, they have to pray that a yellow does not come out now, or Scott Dixon is looking extremely good.
What happens here? Does his teammate
have to.
Does the race leader? He's got to cover it.
Yes.
Does he? He does. And look how forceful he was on that in-lap. Power's got to follow. Must do it. Rosenquist does the same. So too Alexander Rossi. It's game on, Marty.
Yeah, everyone coming to pit road right here for what should be the final stop of the day. Will Power right before Alex Palou passed him, so the tires are absolutely going away. This could be a drag race off pit road between the 10 and the 12, but look at the Chip Ganassi crew. They get Power, keep Palou in the lead off pit road. Nice stop.
Where's Dixon? Where's Dixon? He's at the top of the screen. Palou's beat him out.
Watch Dixon and these two right here. Dixon ahead of Rosenquist, but behind Will Power.
So it's as they were, but Dixon's tires are up to temperature. Here we go. This is where Dixon's got to pounce.
Garden, Herta all stayed out, so we'll have to watch them blend. Those guys blend. Rossi's trying to attempt what we call the overcut.
Dixon on the one-lap warmer tires. He's going to get right to the gearbox of Will Power, but it's not enough. He has half as much push to pass remaining. 36 to 65 in favor of Will Power right now, so Dixon's got to be smart about how he uses that push to pass.
He might have a chance right here. Maybe he can sneak it on Will Power as they come to turn 8. Marty?
This will be an interesting study. Alexander Rossi comes in from the lead, going to the primary tires with a clean pit road, unlike what Power and Palou had a moment ago, Dave.
Romain Grosjean pits from second place, cycling through. He gets 4 primaries.
Rossi. There he is.
How's he going to come out? Is he going to beat his teammate out? He does. So he has been following Felix Rosenquist all race long. Now he's ahead of the Swedish driver.
He's on cold tires. We just covered this with Dixon and Power. Rosenquist on hot tires, and that is Scott McLaughlin with smoke.
Did he maybe go long and one and have to turn around in the runoff?
Maybe.
What happened to the Gallagher Chevrolet? Dixon
couldn't do anything.
Oh, look at Rosenquist on Rossi. They touch.
Teammate on teammate, and Rosenquist wins that arm wrestle.
That was good hard racing right there. Alexander Rossi doing everything he could to keep his teammate behind, but Felix just forcing the issue.
He just got in with his right front and leaned into the side pod of Rossi. It was gentle aggression. What happened here?
Oh, Grosjean. Oh.
Luckily, the anti-stall kicked in. You saw the wheel come out of Scott McLaughlin's hand. Another look here at the Rosenquist-Rossi move.
Look at that. Just a touch. Just enough to unsettle Alexander. And then Felix says, I'm going to come on through, teammate. Didn't mean to push it too hard, but I do want to get ahead.
Good hard racing. You can see some damage there on the floor of Rosenquist's car as well. It's cracked, maybe from side-to-side contact earlier in the race with another car. But that's a big move for Rosenquist to put himself effectively up into 4th position for the cars on that strategy.
And he needed a good week this weekend. Here comes Grosjean. He's working on Alexander Rossi.
And I wonder, guys, if maybe race control is taking a look at an unsafe come out of the pit lane. Technically, the car on the racetrack has the right of way. He drove right into the path of Scott McLaughlin, so I'd be surprised if race control wasn't looking at that as Dave Newgarden's in.
500 champion brings it to pit road. Let's see if the fueling can go a little bit more efficiently this time. The 4 Firestones are on. The fuel is still waiting just a touch longer this time, but much better.
Still not a solid stop in comparison to what that team is normally performing at. So Newgarden really struggling in pit lane today.
The Hitachi Chevy comes back out. Kyle Kirkwood cycles to the top for the time being.
That's good for Newgarden, just ahead of Rossi.
Yep.
That's a great stop. That was great to do the overcut. Rossi will get him here, but still Newgarden in contention.
That's further up than I thought he was going to cycle out.
Watch Grosjean in the background as well. Slight touch there. Rossi on Newgarden on that back left.
That's what got Canapino in hot water with Colton Herta.
Watch Grosjean. Look to the inside. Look to the inside. Does Grosjean go? He does.
Oh.
So a 2 for 1, and Newgarden saying, come on, what's going on?
That might be a little payback for Nashville last year. Those two getting together on another street circuit. Newgarden, Grosjean, forceful, elbows out.
How about the rookie Marcus Armstrong in that blue and white Honda for Chip Ganassi racing all over the back of Joseph? Is he going to look into turn 8? No, he's not, but he is right there.
Let's go back a lap or two ago to the Grosjean McLaughlin situation, fellas. Let's have another look. You get a second look at it from the Gallagher Chevy.
I don't know. I mean, Grosjean has tripped the mandatory transponder. Let's see this again.
Alexander Rossi, Joseph Newgarden.
Their little touch happened further back down the track.
You kind of just knew that Grosjean was going to try to come with him, and then just drives him straight out to the wall.
And that was the catalyst for the reaction from Newgarden, saying, come on, I'll let you go by. You don't have to drive me out to the wall. Armstrong on Newgarden now. Newgarden will switch back, does not let the rookie through.
Pulls off the nice over-under on Marcus Armstrong. Great little battle here happening.
All right, Kevin Lee called it earlier. He said Marcus Ericsson was the first to pit last. He may be able to win with that kind of a strategy. Well, Kevo, your man is at the top at the moment in the Husky Honda, but there's still 29 laps to go. And maybe a caution might help Marcus, but other than that, he's got a very fast Alex Palou, his teammates storming down on him.
Yeah, they're going to need something extraordinary. Marcus was just told by Taylor Kyle, his strategist, we're just going to go as long as we can, but we are going to have to stop again. It would take many, many, many caution laps for him to be able to get home.
All right, let's get some radio from Joseph Newgarden. Team Penske, have a listen.
You got to leave some room, though, man. Copy. Yeah, Rose, we'll talk about it after. Just good laps here right now, and then we'll have to save a little bit of fuel. Couple cars still have to do some cycles here.
Pardon me, that was a 3 car, not Newgarden. It was McLaughlin.
You heard McLaughlin lift there. He didn't want to go offline. He wanted to wait for Rinus VeeKay to maybe pop back. Driver's right. Didn't happen. Protected the inside.
VeeKay's getting very defensive through this section. See what happens in this final left-hander.
Rinus was running as high as 10th earlier in this race. He's had a good race result here in the 24.
There you go.
Scotty Mack on the inside, turn 8, got it.
That was a great move.
That was a decisive pass from Scott McLaughlin. Rinus trying to block. And honestly, Scott was just having none of it, as now Canapino all over the back of the 21.
Here it is again.
Textbook.
Perfect timing, excellent technique on the brake pedal to not lock up offline where there's not as much grip. McLaughlin cleared and going forward.
All right, Marcus Armstrong says, I want a second shot at you, Mr. Indy 500 winner. Doesn't get it then. The American Legion car still working, and in the background, looming is Colton Herta in 11th.
But guys, ahead of this battle, you want to talk about the overcut, pitting on lap 70. Kyle Kirkwood is all the way up to P7. What a comeback. What a recovery for the driver of the 27.
From the very back of the field after contact on the opening lap from behind, Callum Ilott got in the back of Kirkwood. They had to replace the entire rear wing. And they have been fast all weekend, and Kirkwood getting a chance to show it now. This is what happened at the start. Left-hand side of your screen, second pink car in line. The 27 of Kirkwood is going to go trailer mode with Callum Ilott here.
Watch this, the green and black car's going to climb it. Boom. Damages the whole rear wing assembly of Kyle Kirkwood. And that forced him to come in, emergency service while the pit road was closed, then cycled back around, came and stopped again for a regular service, and has been working his way through the field, likewise with his teammate Colton Herta. So the Long Beach winner runs 7th. .24 laps to go here in the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Let's bring you some pit time differential and comparison between Alex Palou, the favorite to win this race, over Will Power, who have been having a fantastic fight pretty much all day long.
Yeah, you see it right there. We talk so much about how the in-laps and out-laps on a green flag cycle are so important. That time on pit lane, almost even between the two, only a 10.5, but a second on each the in and out laps for Alex Palou. We some 2.3, almost 2.4 seconds quicker over the cycle. So big advantage to Alex Palou. Thank you to NTT for that information as we see Marcus Ericsson, Kevin, come to pit lane.
So the best case scenario is just score points. Get inside the top 10. He's going from primaries to primaries and back out and trying to find a smooth spot back into this racetrack.
There was a nice thought at the time, wasn't it? Hoping for more caution to put yourself at the front with that strategy. Ericsson's going to come out behind his young rookie teammate, Marcus Armstrong. He'll slot into 11th position ahead of Colton Herta. Marty?
You guys have given a lot of praise to Marcus Armstrong. Right now in the 9th position, having a very impressive day. Now, he has never driven an oval, but he hung out with the team at Indianapolis. I asked him today, did that make you want to drive ovals more or less? He said 100% more. In fact, he raised his hand to Chip Ganassi this week and said, you know what? Iowa and St. Louis are open in the 11 car. I would love to jump in if you'll have me. So he could make his oval debut a little bit earlier than we expected this year. And in terms of passing Joseph Newgarden, he said, quote, Newgarden looks like he's driving for his life. I'm going to hang out here for a while, let him make a mistake. I think we have the speed to get by him.
Armstrong told Hinch and I earlier in the weekend as well, Marty said, would I like to have done the 500? Of course. He said, but on reflection, I'm glad that I got to witness it. Sit on the box, listen, and learn the cadence of the month of May.
Exact same reason that you saw NASCAR star Kyle Larson there in Indianapolis with Arrow McLaren Racing, to learn, listen, watch, observe, understand the schedule, the cadence, everything as Larson prepares for his Indy 500 debut next season.
One of the retirements of this race is Rahal Letterman-Lanigan's Graham Rahal. A few moments ago, Kevin caught up with him.
Graham Rahal also out of this race. I guess we could say in your long career there is a first time for everything. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, just don't know. Obviously, just got I got a lot of understeer. I mean, it's on me. I need to obviously see the tape and understand. But as I was just saying to Kathy, I'm just disappointed in myself with all the errors this weekend. Just not driving well. And it's hard when you're in a position like this. It's hard to escape to figure out why, but ultimately it's on me. You got to perform a heck of a lot better than that. Particularly on a day like this, it's just not typical of me. I know you've got to stay on the dance floor, and I just don't. I don't know what to say. We weren't good, obviously. Even in the race, we were in pretty bad shape. But it's just it's disappointing. And sorry to United Rentals, to Fifth Third Bank, to Fleet Cost of Care, all of our big partners that have committed so much to this program. It's been a really tough couple of months, and we need a reset. I need a reset, and I need to come back much, much stronger in Road America.
Thanks, Graham.
Well, when this wraps up here tonight, those Rahal Letterman-Lanigan cars are on their way to Sebring, Florida. No rest at all, because they need to unravel, they need to unwrap and discover what's not working for that three-car team and turn it around and head it in the right direction.
Watching that replay, I have no idea what happened either. He was going so slow and the car just went straight. The only thing I can think, James, is that maybe he was in a battle offline a few corners earlier and just had so much pickup from all the spent rubber offline that it was, marbles collected. But can't explain that one. I understand Graham's confusion at what exactly caused that. What'd you see?
Yeah, I'm as baffled as Graham is. I think your point might be valid there. He said, he knows to keep it on the dance floor. You got to stay on that clean racetrack even under caution, and it is something that happens. These cars are designed to be going quickly. The tires cool off, they lose grip, and it's happened before to many drivers. And I'm with you. That one was a bit surprising.
Kevin Lee, Kyle Kirkwood in that Auto Nation Honda for Andretti Autosport, pitted on lap 70. He runs 6th. He's doing times. Grosjean, it's over.
Another wall banger for Romain Grosjean.
Oh boy. And look, the hands on the helmet tell us the story.
That thing was miserable to drive, man. Good job. Just make sure you power it down.
3 crashes from 6 races coming into the season, into this race for Grosjean. Had the hit at Indy, Texas crash.
So look, everything.
Hey, bud, nothing for you to be disappointed in.
Don't know if that happened on his own or battling with another car.
Based on his reaction in the cockpit, you'd think the first, it may have been an unforced error, but we'll wait for the replay to determine that. But he is furious, maybe at himself.
Turn 4 just got onto the apex curve, into the apex wall, and it fired that number 28 straight into the outside wall. So yeah, unforced error. You heard on the radio, hey, it was a tough car to drive. They clearly were struggling with the balance there, but that's a tough break.
I would say Romain has the unenviable title this year of being the highest placed, one of the fastest cars and drivers this year with the least to show for it. He has 2 podiums from 7 races. The rest can be summed up in this body language.
And we said it at the start that the winner today is going to master precision consistently for 100 laps. You heard Graham Rahal just say, I know you got to stay on the dance floor. The thing with concrete barriers on street circuits at the apex is the closer you get, the more grip you find until you're too close. Dave?
And Townsend, think of how he went into last week's Indianapolis 500. It's a huge race, but he said, I didn't grow up with it. So for me, this should be a huge points-taking opportunity. And it didn't turn out that way. He didn't finish the 500. He thought that was his chance maybe to climb back into the championship hunt. And now this.
And he is taking a very long time to reflect, to just absorb what just transpired.
It's one of the worst feelings as a driver, guys, to make a mistake that takes you out of the race. Regardless, you know, you're running in the top 10 and this is your job. So as a driver, to not hold up your end of the bargain, it is just so difficult. Drivers hold themselves to such high standards. They're their own worst critics. Nobody puts more pressure on a driver than a driver puts on themselves. And so in a moment like that, it is just crushing.
And if you stop dancing on the tip of the needle on a street circuit, you're dirt slow. You cannot, it's hard to express how much you have to be right on the edge and be so committed to be fast. And if you're not, you're slow. And then you also have big problems. So it's just an absolute tightrope walk, especially on a track like this. And it pains me to see Grosjean here in obvious emotional pain from what just happened.
That is a lot of self analysis. That is a lot of reflection. That is a lot of thought going on right there.
Throughout practice and qualifying, just a little bit too close to the wall, clip that inside, and it fires you out.
So let's look at those beneficiaries of this most recent caution with 17 laps to go. Kyle Kirkwood, big time. Colton Herta, big time. Marcus Ericsson, it has helped enormously, who just stopped. Alexander Rossi is in the mix. Joseph Newgarden 7th, but he is totally out of push to pass. 0 seconds left. Alex Palou has got a healthy wallet of push to pass with 53 of the 150 seconds that he was equipped with at the beginning of this race. Will Power's going to feel empowered, like he's got another shot at Palou. Marty, this thing is far from over.
Yeah, but the one thing that Barry Wanzer and Alex Palou did not want to see is their 5-second lead erased. So how confident are you they can build that up once again on this restart?
I mean, the car is certainly strong. We're quite confident he's going to be able to check out. We obviously need to get through the restart. We had a problem on the previous one with got stuck between gears. He was able to clear it pretty late, but obviously he got jumped. He was able to get power back, but we're confident the car will be strong. So,
how concerned are you that might crop up again under this caution, Barry?
Actually, we don't have any concerns, and he also knows how to clear it faster now. You know, we practice it, we go over it, but there's so many things that can go wrong. It's hard to remember how to actually clear it when it happens.
There you go.
Effectively, so.
There you go. Alex Palou gave up that 5-second lead with this caution, Kevin. This restart should be interesting to watch.
Mike Hull is on the stand for Scott Dixon. I heard your driver say, I've got speed, I just can't go anywhere. With a restart, can he go somewhere now?
Well, that's why they have the race. We'll find out. We have a really good car. In fact, we have 4 good cars in the race, obviously. So we got Alex Palou and Scott Dixon up at the front, and 2 really hard chargers back in the back, and this is street racing. So let's see what happens.
No fuel concerns here at this point. By the way, that's Mike Hull. Let's check in on Kyle Kirkwood. We started to tell that
race, but an excellent second half for the driver of the 27 AutoNation car.
Ready to go, boys? You ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I'm standing.
Here we go. Rub your hands together because it's going to be on. And watch that red car in second. Power is going to try and return the favor to Alex Palou. 14 laps to go here in Detroit. Let's do it again.
Palou with a bit of a power slide out of that last corner. I'm not sure Power's going to be close enough to pounce.
Watch Kirkwood. Kirkwood at the top of the screen. Caution's out.
What for?
Full course yellow.
David Malukas
David Malukas didn't make it to the start. I think that's on the finish straight coming out of turn 9.
Did Kyle Kirkwood get ahead before the yellow came out? He had staged a move on that start straight on Alexander Rossi.
Yeah, it looks like he's back behind Rossi, so race control will sort it out. They'll know digitally exactly where Kirkwood was based on all the timing loops around the track. But one thing's for sure, Kirkwood's fast.
He is definitely fast. He's going to be upset that that yellow came out when it did, just because that pass was more
on the calendar and very different to this street circuit here in Detroit. Under our most recent caution, Marty, for the 6th time.
Let's chat with Ron Wierzewski, the strategist for Will Power, who got Alex Palou on one restart. So what can Will do differently on this restart to maybe get past the 10?
We'll see. I mean, Will's been doing a good job all day. I mean, you know, he's been hanging in there. We've had, you know, a competitive car. I think Palou had a problem, but, you know, I think we got pace too. We just got to see, as long as they're about equal on push to pass, I think it's going to be a dogfight to the end. I mean, he's a top competitor, so I hope we got something with the Verizon Chevy today.
Hey, and Diff, guess who's exactly directly across from the 12 pit box? Flava Flav, the new Will Power fan, trying to cheer his guy to victory.
Well, we'll see if he can get it. We will see.
I got to say, we get a lot of celebrities at races. This guy knows what's going on. He's up on the railing. His guy, Will Power, is ready to go. He's checking timing and scoring. He knows what time it is. It's time to pounce.
It sure is. Hey, keep an eye on Felix Rosenqvist as well. There he is, popping into shot. Rosenqvist looks good. He's right behind Scott Dixon, by the way. Here he is, the Onsemi Chevy. This is the NTT data view. It's been a while since Rosenqvist has had a podium. Remember, he crashed out. We just showed you that. From the Indy 500, he was a contender there. So he had a podium in Toronto a year ago. That's been too long as far as Felix is concerned. And so let's see if this very well-liked Swedish driver can stitch it together here. He's going to have to come up with something special on Dixon.
He might need some chaos in front, but he better watch out for Alexander Rossi behind him. Rossi running 5th. Not good enough for a guy like Alexander Rossi coming over to Aero McLaren this year. Rossi wants to be on the podium. He's got a great shot right now.
Rossi also knows he's going to...
It's deep in your heart. We know. We know. Hey, we had the pleasure of calling you a races. All right, this one's far from over. 10 laps to go here in Detroit. Watch Power on Palou. Watch Rosen.
Oh, it's on.
He's not close enough, but Power is close this time.
It is on for Will Power. Great run. He pops to the outside as they come to the brake zone.
That's going to be the long way round. That's going to be tough from there. Can Power force Palou into a mistake? What's Dixon got? Oh. Power tries to switch back, but he's there. Dixon's there. And Dixon stalls, and Rossi's the big winner. Rossi goes from 5th to 3rd in the one corner.
Power got into anti-stall mode, and now Power shoves Scott Dixon back off the track.
Kyle Kirkwood's going to pick up a couple spots here as well, guys.
I want to say I robbed Alexander Rossi there. He's gone from 5th to 2nd. Awesome move from Alexander Rossi.
And that all started because Palou did get in a little deep. He had some rear lock, and that pushed both him and Will Power wide. Will got the anti-stall after Scott Dixon got into him, so a bit of a chain reaction there. And as you say, the big winner, the McLaren of Alexander Rossi.
Look at Colton Herta trying to work Scott McLaughlin and get forward. Herta still has that damaged front wing, but he's trying. The leaders now coming to the backside of the track. We'll see what kind of run Will Power can get this lap.
Single digits, 9 laps to go. Alex Palou has bolted. Alexander Rossi is the next one in his mirror. And then we pick up Power, Rosenqvist, Dixon. Kyle Kirkwood's not out of this one either. He's working on Scott Dixon a little further back.
Push to pass is now back active. Now that we've completed that first lap after the restart, you can see there Palou leading the charge there on remaining push to pass, but let's take a look at this move.
It's when the red car of Power switches back on the inside and Dixon and he collide. Watch this.
Palou gets some lockup, has to overcorrect, or correct, I should say. Power looks to cross up Palou, but comes right across the bow of Scott Dixon.
Power gets up on 2 wheels. He's bicycling right there. And then Alexander Rossi says, you guys can scrap it out. I'm going to scoot up the inside and make up 3 positions. Caution again. What's it for?
Stingray Rob.
That's such a shame. We had a good little battle forming here. Just in the runoff there at turn 3.
Shouldn't take long to get Stingray Rob refired and back to green.
Oh, I just noticed too in that replay, in that replay, Scott McLaughlin and Marcus Ericsson coming side by side. Santino Ferrucci in the AJ Foyt Sexton Properties machine. He's involved. He needs to help restart it. This is going to be a chaotic end to the Chevy Detroit Grand Prix. Here's what went down.
Side by side with Santino Ferrucci on the brakes. I don't know if they both got in deep or Santino got in too deep, locked up, and kind of forced them.
This is Power on PALOU, and look to the left for Dixon. Whoop. And there goes Rossi.
And you hear him revving up. That's because the anti-stall had kicked in. He was essentially stuck in neutral. You've got to get on the clutch paddle, re-engage the clutch, and then release it to get drive again.
This is Kirkwood.
And Will did a nice job of just firing it back down the inside of Dixon there. That's all elbows out. This is a street fight with a handful of laps to go. And here's Rossi watching the C's part in front of him. There's his teammate. There's Dixon. There's Power. 1, 2, 3. No
Never made
way.
3 easier passes in his life.
Take your ticket and head forward.
Watch Power get up on 2 here. Boing.
Amazingly, no real damage to any of the cars, just a big spot of rubber on the nose of Scott Dixon's race car.
Turn 3 has not disappointed for the action zone. Stingray Rob in his Dale Point Racing with Rick Ware Racing Machine refired and sent past the crowd there at Hart Plaza here on the streets of downtown Detroit. As we get an update from Dave Burns. Dave?
Checking with Brian Barnhart, strategist for Alexander Rossi. Lee Diffin described it as he's never gotten 3 positions so easily in his life, but that was a lot of work even at that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work all day. Really proud of this Arrow McLaren group. They've done a great job. Alex done a great job on the racetrack, got him in a good position here. It's going to be pretty crazy for the last couple laps here.
I never thought of this place as that much opportunity, and you had some adversity earlier today, so how have you kept Alex in the game?
We're just going to do our best we can here. We got him on a good tire here. We're going to get the 1 to go sign here, and let's go see what we can do.
All right, looking at the 7 car, Brian Barnhart.
It's always good when you see Brian smile. Feeling good about his driver, this man here, Mission Foods on board of Alexander Rossi. He podiumed at the recent Indianapolis Grand Prix prior to the 500 to kick us off for the month of May. So coming out of the month of May, so a third of this race basically has been run under caution. We knew it was going to be wild. We knew it was going to be a little bit chaotic. And the best is yet to come with this run for the finish. Has Alex Palou got the magic? First street course pole position yesterday in the Ridgeline Lubricants Honda. Can he grab a race win to go with his Indy Road Course race win and extend his championship lead by more than a race victory? This is the rundown at Water Street. Turning left at turn 1.
Be ready.
Be ready. They are all ready. Look at them. Noses on gearboxes. Green flag is out. Here we go. Lighting it up off turn 2. Who's close? I like the look of Rosenquist on Power.
It's a great jump from Palou, but these 3 here, Rossi, Power, Rosenquist, all nose to tail. They got to sort this out when they get down to turn 3.
Who's the best on the brakes? Power goes wide. Rosenquist's got an inside run. Almost gets Power. Power's going to have the inside run for turn 4.
Rossi struggling with Power down as Will Power goes past Rossi in an impossible break zone. Great move.
He said that he felt like he still had a chance. Now he's full focus on Alex Palou at the front. Scott McLaughlin on his teammate. Pushes by Joseph Newgarden.
Joseph Newgarden out of push to pass. Push to pass is going to be active as of right now across the alt-start finish line. Rossi defending against Rosenquist as Scott Dixon looks down the inside.
Dixon did the same defensive move from Kyle Kirkwood. Marcus Armstrong is tucked in behind.
Overtakes available.
Rossi struggling.
First 2 have bolted.
Brian Barnhart reminding him overtakes available, but it's going to be not enough as Rosenquist goes back to the front.
He's desperate for a podium, Felix Rosenquist. Rossi's going to come back.
Wow.
These are teammates and they're not hitting. Really good Top shelf driving from the McLaren men.
All of these drivers going to be on push to pass right now. Felix Rosenqvist, all sorts of wheel spin. Scott Dixon now level with Rosenqvist.
Watch Kirkwood. He's going for a twofer. 2 for 1. Tried to go around them. Tucks back in.
Kirkwood looks 3 wide. Now McLaughlin and Ericsson, the red and white cars side by side.
Herta goes wide. Long and wide.
Oh, nearly got the tires. Just kept it out. The Cambridge Honda, but now defensive from Marcus Ericsson on Scott McLaughlin as we head down the hill into 5.
McLaughlin has been relentless on his moves. Ericsson's making it tough for the Gallagher Chevy driver. 4 laps to go.
Oh, good forward here, but let's go get him.
What a wild finish.
I think that might have been Rosenqvist's radio, perhaps, talking about Rossi as the teammates were going eye for an eye before the back straightaway. Ericsson really struggling for grip now.
Well, Rossi just did what Rosenqvist did to him. Same moves, pro driving, good stuff.
Here's the challenge now for Rossi. 4 seconds left of push to pass. Felix Rosenqvist behind has 20. He's going to be massively exposed as they head down the straightaway, and look at Newgarden all over the back of Marcus Ericsson.
McLaughlin got Ericsson, no worries, so he set sail. McLaughlin's working on Marcus Armstrong. He's the next one. 3 laps to go. That's it. Here in Detroit, Alex Palou leads by just over a second on willpower. Who's going to get this final step on the podium? 2 McLarens. That's the front wing, by the way, of Colton Herta.
Oh boy, that is dangerously close to the racing line. But I think they'll stay green once the drivers know it's there. Look, the entire main plane on the right front of Colton Herta's wing is gone. That'll mean no front downforce.
Massive understeer. It's going to make braking a huge challenge for Colton. Have you seen?
Whoa.
Locking up that right front's going to be so easy without that downforce pushing that corner of the car down.
And this is what happened. Remember, he on the restart ran way wide, just clipped the tire barrier.
Kind of run can Rosenqvist get? I think Rossi is 2 seconds left on push to pass. Right-hand side of your screen, Rosenqvist, does he pop? Yes, here comes Rosenqvist.
Look at this, the teammates.
Again?
Oh, this might be a relationship changer for these guys. Rossi in the wall, Dixon pounces, Rossi's got the inside.
Rosenqvist gave Rossi a big old concrete slapper with his right rear, and now Rossi loses another spot to Dixon.
It's the exact same move we saw Rosenqvist pull on Rossi earlier in the race, just leaning on him on the brake zone into 3. Rossi lucky to not bend something with that contact.
But with 2 laps to go, there's no teammates. There are no expectations other than getting yourself to the best position as the white flag comes out.
1 to go, less than 1.7 miles. What a run this has been from Alex Palou. He was one of the standouts in the field in the Indianapolis 500 a week ago, led the majority of laps in the opening stanza. Pit lane incident, fought his way back to an unbelievable top 5 finish. Got his first street course pole here yesterday. He came to Detroit as the championship leader, and he is going to extend his lead. This has been impressive from the Spaniard.
He's like a surgeon, so precise, so methodical with every step. Never a hair out of place in terms of his driving, and it has paid off today.
This was meant to be a Chevrolet party in the shadows of the General Motors Rensen, which is high above where we are now. It's going to be a Honda driver who spoils the party. Racing back on the streets of Detroit, and it's Alex Palou who wins the Chevrolet Grand Prix of Detroit. Awesome job. Boy, he had to withstand some pressure. Multiple restarts over the course of 7 yellows. That was frantic. It was at times chaotic, but Alex Palou prevails.
Great job, Alex. Great job.
Big sigh of relief. He extends his championship lead, and he joins Joseph Newgarden as a multi-time winner this season. How about that one? Like to be a fly on the wall inside the Arrow McLaren team after that as well. Between Rosenqvist and Rossi, things were getting testy, but that's a sub-story. This is the story. Alex Palou has constructed a very strong platform to try and get his second championship. The Advanced Auto Parts checkered flag moment, and how could it be anything else but Alex Palou? McLaughlin says, well done. These two guys started on the front row of the grid. Didn't quite work out as Scotty Mack hoped with a 7th place finish. But for Palou, from pole to victory lane, that was near on perfect.
Yeah, great to see all the respect from his competitors. Palou, I think universally respected, one of the cleanest racers out there, and just executed again with incredible precision in the most.
Celebrate. How about that one, mate?
How about that for Alex Palou? Climbs out in front of some fans right by the Detroit River. He is a winner on the streets of Detroit. Cool how close these fans can get to a driver climbing out here in victory lane. So Alex, on a weekend when you said the track was too tight, too many bumps, too much traffic, how did you make it look so easy?
Oh man, the number 10 Ridgeline Lubricants car was on point today. Honda gave us everything we needed with fuel mileage and all the power, so super proud of the job we did. Was tricky at the end, man, with those tires. Couldn't really get into temperature, but super proud.
Barry Wanzer comes in with a hug.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, so talk to me about those final few restarts. How worried were you? Because power got by you on one of them when you had that gearbox issue.
Yeah, I mean, we had an issue that probably was my fault, but then it got stuck there. Couldn't really upshift.
The boss, Chip Ganassi, comes in as well.
And then he was on alternate, so I couldn't really get into temperature. So yeah, proud that we got it back and that we got another win this year.
You are now plus 51 in the championship standings. Is this starting to feel like your championship year, Alex?
No, not yet. It's too early. I mean, I wish we could say that, but yeah, we'll keep focused on next few races. There's a few that I really love coming now, so yeah, we'll keep on pushing.
Were you carrying a little extra motivation after what was a very frustrating 500 when you felt like you had the car to beat this weekend?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wasn't really frustrated. It's Indy. We know how difficult it is to win, so I was proud that we made a huge comeback, that we had one of the best cars, if not the fastest. So happy that we're now on victory lane again.
Alex Palou, dominant here on the streets of Detroit, gets his second win.